Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Wow Ergonomics. It's Friday, it's midday, and Stephen, where are you?
I am not. Hello. I'm not in my usual spot. I am in the fantastic Flokk showroom in Manchester. So,
Are you?
yes.
Just writing about that 2 minutes ago.
How are you? Yes, I
It's
think
not
we
where
may
I
be a
thought
bit.
you were, actually. I mean, when I saw that sort of mise en scène around you there
Yes.
for a minute, I actually thought, I, I thought you were in Resident Evil.
Oh,
Um,
I can see why you'd think that. So,
yeah, for anyone that's seen any of the Resident Evil films, which of course most people that are watching this probably haven't, because they're all very PG. It just reminded me of that. Maybe something kind of science fictiony. It's got
yes,
that kind of
aliens type sort of feel to it,
aliens type.
as if I'm below some sort of grated ceiling, waiting for the alien to sort of come down onto me. So
That's it. Yeah.
yeah.
For people that want a more PG version, Goonies. There you go. How about that? We have our guest
We do.
today, which is wonderful. So we're going to say hello to the wonderful Oliver Jones. Thanks for joining us, all the way from not from an alien spaceship.
Well, you say that. I've had comments. Yep. Thanks for having me on. Here to provide insights. Is there anything you want me to? Films, music. Don't bother with ergonomics. That's not really my bag. But
You don't know anything about that, then?
No. I've spent 11 years blagging my way through it, but I'll give it a shot.
Okay. Well, it's good that you said that, because we did want to pick your brain on the collective works of Chris Rea.
Chris Rea, yeah,
absolutely. So we're gonna start with this particular album, the return of the fabulous Hofner Blue Notes. One of your favourites, I believe.
Yeah. Hofner, a great German manufacturer of instruments, obviously produced the violin and bass for McCartney and the Beatles. The Blue Notes period was particularly one of my favourite Rea epochs, and it's good to see you've got it on hand as well there, Graham. Well done.
I love that. He's good, isn't he? He's well prepared. Stephen's now just worried that I might ask him something about music.
I'm okay on 80s and 90s, but when you're talking about obscure, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, you've been to a few concerts in the past few years, haven't you? I mean, I know you're a bit of a Killers fan.
I've been to the Killers. Just to sort of balance that out, I also went to Take That, so it's a bit sort of yin and yang. So
I did say music, Stephen. Yeah.
Oh dear. On your own?
On your own, Stephen? No, you took someone else, didn't you?
My wife insisted that I accompany her to it, so it's all her fault.
Yeah. How was that, being in a stadium full of people screaming at men? I mean, it was.
It was good. I mean, what do I say? A slightly surreal experience, shall we say?
Yeah. Did they have a good support band on that particular tour? Who was it?
Ollie Murs, who I thought was very good. Yeah. Very good.
Well, there you go.
Blimey.
Yeah.
Oliver's speechless.
Tumbleweed has already gone across the studio at this point. So listen, tell us, folks, why are you in Manchester at Flokk? What are you up to?
Well, I can answer that. This is our first Backcare Solutions roadshow. I'll tell you about Backcare Solutions if you like. We're a ergonomics supplier based in Lancashire, just south of Preston. We've been around for 20 years now. I've been in my role for about 11 years. And in that time, we've done a lot of exhibitions, done marketing, etc. Mainly things like the health and wellbeing in Birmingham and one or two others. And I've just got sick of paying a lot of money to go to exhibitions to get a guess at whether we'll get any return on investment. So earlier this year. Actually, it was Stephen came up to Backcare. We were just talking, and I've got this idea, like a bit like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. I'm not, promising the earth with this, but we're gonna try and host an Ergo Fest next year at Backcare. So, just flip it all on its head. Bring everybody to us rather than us spending thousands of pounds going to the NEC with all the logistics and all the hassle of that. When we've got such a fantastic database of customers, we say, right, we'll have that. So we'll invite all the suppliers up, we'll get them up to Backcare, and we'll have a full day of it. So Ergo Fest, watch this space on that. Anyway, so I was talking to Steve about that, and he said, well, we could do perhaps something. What about if we go into Manchester and use Flokk? And so we had a quick call to Andrew from Flokk. He said, yeah. So we're on the road. It's today, this afternoon. We're just prepping this morning and doing some work. I'm not sure when you will be listening or watching to this, those of you who are watching and listening, but we're middle of summer now here, and it's pretty warm. So a bit of sweat on building desks and chairs and setting everything up. And Andrew from Flokk and Flokk generally have been very, very accommodating and given us the whole run of the building, which is absolutely stunning. If you've not been, and if you're about and you want to have a look at what they're doing here, highly recommended. Right in the city centre, 10 minutes walk from Deansgate Station. Lovely people, and as I say, the building is absolutely stunning. So that's where we are. And this afternoon we've got maybe 20 to 30 guests invited. Mainly assessors or ergonomic assessors. So they're looking for a bit of CPD. They're looking for what's new in the business, a little bit of networking, obviously. Stephen's obviously co-hosting with us, or he's supporting us. So he'll have a range of backer products that perhaps they don't know about, or how would they get the best out of backer products and ergo generally. So yeah, that's it's the first ever Backcare Solutions roadshow in Manchester, where we are currently sat in the Patton building, and that's what we've got lined up this afternoon. And hopefully, it's going to be as busy as we think it will be.
I want to touch on that whole area of events, etc., against doing these kind of more intimate affairs in a second. I'm going to be in that showroom in Manchester later in the year with these people, the Care Connector Network. So we're actually, the Flokk again are generously donating it for what is a worthwhile organisation trying to make a difference in the care sector. I've just done an exhibition, and I've done lots of exhibitions in my time in the past, and some very, very big ones as well, like Bet at the XL in London. I just wonder whether they're beginning to have their day a little bit.
Well,
dare I say it, and probably like everybody that's in the exhibition space will now come and shoot me. But I do wonder if at least they need to pull something slightly different out of the bag, because it seems to me that there's a lot of doing the same old with exhibitions and not necessarily getting the right people in front of the people that are spending a lot of money in order to exhibit.
Yeah, the cost is
For me,
huge.
I
When
think
we do it, it's
yeah.
Go on,
Stephen.
No, I was going to say, I think for me, they're still absolutely relevant, but I think the format's changed. I think what we're doing today with Oliver and Backcare and Flokk, it's smaller events that are more relevant with really interesting topics, not just we do this event every year in March, April and May, and we're going to trot it out. It's got to be relevant. You've got to get people out. You've got to really put something on there that's really interesting to draw people out. And I think this is what it is small, relevant, niche, learning something new, not walking around huge exhibition halls, which absolutely have their place. But I think for the ergonomic world, I think we need to be more relevant, hands-on, a bit nimbler, a little bit smaller, a little bit flexible, which is what we're looking to achieve with this event today with Flokk and Backcare.
The other thing that a lot of people have said to me of late as well, though, is that they go to exhibitions to see stuff like new stuff or to get quite hands-on with stuff and then get past a leaflet. So there seems to be a distinct lack of the events that really still do really, really well, right? Are the ones where you go and there's just demonstration after demonstration of something, and it's really quite interesting to watch, isn't it? I mean, if you go to a cooking show, for example, and someone's like cooking up a fantastic dish, and then everyone gets to try a bit of it, and you can stuff your face with sausage, really exotic sausage and cheese or whatever on a stick. Then it's great, and everybody really enjoys that. But it does seem that there's a lot of exhibitions where someone has got something that they really ought to be showing, but they've not got a space, or they've not developed a space for people to be actually able to see how that works. So people kind of leave a little bit disappointed.
I think so. What Stephen was saying, those words nimble and agile, they're the big kind of words in our industry post COVID now. So everything is like, let's think a little bit differently to how we've done things in the past. And that's exactly what we've kind of, where I've got to with our thinking, and this is the product of that thought process. So being nimble. So we'll have, let's call it 25 people, but 25 people who are definitely locked into what you want to say and what you've got to show them. So there'll be no people just coming for pens and mugs. They will definitely, because they're going out of their way to get here, and people are busy. And you'll know what I mean by the pen and mug guys. They just come and swoop down, and they have a bag which is rammed full of freebies, and they disappear, and they can take that off on their CV or their job profile. So, and what we've got in here is maximum bang for buck. So we're getting people who have been invited, they don't have to come, and they say, yes, this is what we're going to provide, this is who's going to be there, this is what we're going to talk about, and this is what you can show. And it's only a couple of hours, so it's not an all-day event or overnight. They get training, they drive in, whatever. A lot of the people, some people come from quite some distance from looking at the companies they work for, so that's really great, because there's probably a lack of something where they are. M25 and South, I'm sure that Flokk are doing stuff there in Clerkenwell as well, but from our point of view, there's a lot of people making a lot of effort to come here just for 2 hours. So that time is really crucial, but it's really, really effective. So I'm hoping that anybody who attends goes away with more knowledge, with some insight into how their jobs could be made easier, made better, more enjoyable, and ultimately, the CPD aspect of it is really important for them. But it's just like Stephen says, it's just small, bang, hard, high intensity gone, not a flabby 2-day event which costing you $7,000. That's taking 2 days.
Flabby. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Then you've got another day to disassemble it. You've got hotels to buy for, and I would say only about 20% of that time is actually worthwhile, and the rest of it stood around looking at the people walking around and then talking faff to people who, just because they've seen something interesting, saying, oh, can you tell me what the latest thing is in seating? Yeah, I can do. Yeah, but what's the point? We're going to get nothing out of that. But obviously good manners kicks in and you say, yeah, I'll show you all that. But in terms of your return on investment, your 5, 6, 8, your 9, your 10 grand for a couple of days in the NEC, all told, is that really worthwhile? We'll still do that because it's more of a branding exercise at that point. We want to make sure that people who are in this industry, so we go to the health and well-being in the NAC at March, people want to see us and then say hello, and that's fine. That has a value, and we're very successful, and we don't want to change anything to upset the apple cart in our progress and our success. So, but this is really much better value. I only live 20 minutes up the road on the train. I've come in the train this morning, came here yesterday, dropped it all off, and we're ready to go, and we can be out again tonight. So that strength of that agility and that mobility is much better investment in our time, because we're all busy. We don't want to spend a week away for very little, really, in terms of bang for buck.
You had breakfast on the tram, I heard, this morning on the way in. I thought,
not me.
Great idea.
No.
Oh, okay.
I saw a woman having a yogurt on the train.
As well, Graham,
that kind of disgusted me, but that's a different story.
I was going to say, just on top of what Oliver said there, I think when you have smaller groups, I think what you've got to bear in mind, and we've touched on subjects like neurodiversity and things like that in the past on this show regularly. Not everyone is comfortable in a big, wide audience to be proactive and engage in the conversation. When you do things in smaller groups, you get more out of people. Sometimes people aren't comfortable because they may be with people they don't know. If you get those smaller sort of one-on-one, one-on-two sort of sessions, you get a lot more from people. And I think what we're doing today is we've sort of commandeered pretty much the whole showroom, and we've spread our stuff around so people can walk, small groups, engage. You can't, and Oliver will know this, you can't beat people touching, feeling product, moving it around, trying it, seeing what it's all about. And that's what we're looking to try and achieve from this, is smaller groups, lots of return on a smaller number of people. We'd rather have, like Oliver said, we've got about 25 people invited. We'd rather have 25 people who are really engaged than both going back to our business and saying, we had 250 people turn up. Yeah, but if they weren't engaged and interested, it's irrelevant. You better have a smaller, really engaged audience that you get something from it, but more importantly, they get something from it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think the people that try and put on events, they've got a genuine heart for trying to, some of them, for trying to get it right, and doing a good thing within an industry. But I think there's a lot of things that need to be learned. I mean, take it, for example, the one that we went to the other day. There was it was a lovely sunny day, absolutely lovely sunny day. And when we arrived, we were all saying, well, it's beautiful sunshine. We're going to get a lovely crowd here today. But it was very, very noticeable within the first probably 2 hours that there were a lot of people who kind of arrived, did what Oliver said, which was like whiz round, get all of the freebies and whatever, and then went home, right? Well, or actually what they probably did was go to the beach. And they, and it was fair that they what they've probably done is they probably, got the day off, agreed with whoever at work, because they were going to an exhibition, and they thought, well, if we just whiz round here, and actually some of the conversations very early on were with people where it was like, so could we talk to you about, and it was like, oh, I'm not here to learn anything. Well, what are you here for then? probably your pen and your squeezy ball, and that was about it really. But as the day went on, there were better conversations with people, because probably the people that came latterly in the day were actually the people that wanted to find out. They were not the people that just wanted to go off to the beach. So I think there was that. But yeah, you're right as well. A number of other things were, as you say, you get people that do like keynote speeches at these things, and you tend to have like a roster of one speech after another, etc. But it's a bit like school. People will sit there and they listen to somebody, and then they go, "Any questions?" and everyone goes,
"Well,"
because they're scared to. They're scared to say anything.
Well, that's the thing. So I did a half an hour at the just one of the NEC stuff in May, and I had a 30-minute slot, and because we got it for free as part of the package, so I said, yeah, I'll do it, not a problem. And it's like a small area, maybe 20, 30 seats, something like that. And I've just picked a random thing. Well, talk about the issues of working from home from an ergonomics point of view. So I did that, and so I wrote. So he said, you've got 20 minutes to talk, and then a 10-minute Q&A. And this is going to contradict you, Graham, to be quite honest with you. So this is just my experience. After about 5 minutes of me talking, I was bored to death of my own voice. I didn't want to hear another word, because I thought I'd do a bit of background, the COVID, this, and the working from home revolution, hybrid. And like I say, within 5 or 10 minutes, I was bored. I thought, this is crap. So I sort of stopped talking. So let's go to the questions and answers. So, right. And as I said, hands up. Right. First question. Now, the questions were rubbish, to be honest. They were more HR related than I wanted to deal with. But it's what, as soon as someone puts the first hand up, you start talking, the mic goes around, and then great. So I'm going to do it again next year, but I'm just going to say, ask the expert. Ergonomics, ask the expert. We're not going to have me standing up. This is who you've got. This is what he can do. Come with your little bit of pen and paper with your questions, and just have me 30 minutes of questions and answers, ergo related. And let them do the agenda. Let them set the tone for the event. And I'll just stand there. I'll have maybe a couple of toys to play with. But that's the way I would do it. I think that lecturing aspect of it is no good. I think people just, take in about 5% of what you said, because
I totally.
On one question, and they're waiting for that to happen. So get that Q&A going as much that we're around it.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I mean, I do think one of the problems is that half the people that speak at events are boring. and they're just not very good at speaking. Right? I mean, I've got my certificate for speaking in America at an event. Yeah, oh yeah, I'll tell you
Good.
now. Yeah,
Well done.
absolutely. And yes, but I'm going to say, right, if you'd ever come to any of my talks, Stephen's been to obviously to the last panel thing that I did. You've got to do a few little jokes. You've got to try and keep people amused or whatever. If I can, I will get people in the audience talking, even if they don't want to talk. And I have been known to get the whole crowd singing as well. So I just think that it depends on, if you give out positive energy into the people that you're speaking to, you'll get positive energy back. But so many people are like, and you just look at the whole dynamic, and it's like everybody's bored.
That was my experience, so that's why I quickly, vault fast flipped it. So right, let's stop talking and droning on about facts and figures. It's boring, because I was only trying to fill 20 minutes to get to the Q&A anyway. So I thought, well, sorry, I'll just stop, crack on.
Now I've got another question.
I was going to say, Graham, but just if you think about it, right, just on top of that, just because you know your stuff doesn't mean you are a good narrator and can put that stuff across. And I think that's where the problem is. A lot of people get involved in speaking because they're subject matter experts. But if they're not a great presenter, it's a waste of time. You're better to have someone who's a better presenter and maybe doesn't have as much knowledge than the other way around. And that's where I think they go wrong. There's a desire to get all these experts in. But have you tested? Are they a good narrator? Can they capture an audience? Can they keep the audience with them? And I think that's the difference.
Well, now you're talking into my language. My friend Marianne, who I do the other podcast with, and she trains people at training. And one of the things we bang on about there is that there's so many people out there who are training, but have no qualification in training. They don't actually know how to train. They think they know how to train because they've been doing it a long time, and they think that because people enjoy their training that they're good at training. But actually, when you ask the people who they've trained, can you implement what you've been taught? They go, not really sure. I really enjoyed the session, but and that means that they're an ineffective trainer. It's not actually in that situation when you're training someone. It's not necessarily about being liked. It's about making sure that the person that you're training actually understands what they've been taught and can then implement it elsewhere. But I think you're right. I think a lot of people that talk at these things, their subject matter, they know their subject matter, but they're boring as hell. A lot of people that write shouldn't write because they frankly they've got great knowledge, but when you read it in a book, and yet people laud it and go, oh, this is a fantastic book. No, it wasn't. It was rubbish. It was so dull. Right? I did a whole series or whole strand of my degree called Ethnicity and Cultural Diversity. Some of the books that we had to read on that part of the course were the most dreadful dross in the history of mankind, and the people that wrote them should be flogged, to be honest. But there you go. That's enough of my winch. What I think if I had Oliver, go on.
Well, I was going to say, if I was making another album, that's what the title will be, Dreadful Dross.
Dreadful Dross. For beginners.
Yeah.
And then you can start a series. Yeah, Dreadful Dross for beginners. One thing I am curious about, I think it's great what you're doing there today. How much you struggle still to get people that know nothing about ergonomics, i.e. therefore the people that really do need to know this stuff, in through the door. Because, as you say, it's easy to get, in a way, people that know about ergonomics to come and see things about ergonomics. But one of the things that me and Stephen have talked ad infinitum about on here is how do we get people that don't know but need to know to come in through the threshold, because that's the important next step, isn't it?
Well, we're lucky because we've got a large existing database of people who come to us already. And now, just to give it a bit of context, the market that so we deal with assessors on a lot. So large OH firms come to us. We're doing DSE assessments and ergo assessment. They come to us and say, because we're fairly new to post, because this is a growth market, because we're being recruited from neurodiversity areas and being asked to do ergo stuff, we're not quite sure what to do. So we've got a very fertile ground of people, and I could tell that immediately from the responses that we got from the invitation. So
That's
people
great.
saying, "Oh, yeah, yes, please, we need that, we want that." And the only thing that stopped them previously is logistics. So they can't spend 2 days at Birmingham or what have you. So this is where this has worked, and touch what it will do really well. We've got a market, we've got a fertile ground saying, do you want to come and play with some top end ergo products and speak to 2 or 3 experts for a couple of hours for free? And they all go, yeah, God, yeah, my job was so much easier. And it remains to be seen how well that will go. But the feedback and the impression I get from the profile of people that come in, we're going to do really well. And it will benefit both parties, of course, not just us, but them as well. I mean, I'm in it because we're in a business, but the hopeful side of it is that they will, and Stephen will obviously back this up, they'll see a Backcare product and go, I'm going to recommend that next time I come across symptom A, B, or C, or issue A, B, or C. And I know it's just basic stuff, really, but we're, as I say, we're lucky because I've got this very fertile, young, inexperienced pool of people who I deal with on a daily basis that are just desperate for it. So we're lucky in that respect. I don't know how it would work elsewhere outside of my field, but that's where we are. But it must apply in other areas because it's just that whole landscape has changed. So the market for assessments and DSE assessments is huge now because obviously either hybrid or working from home or multiple locations, and those assessments need to be done, obviously by law. So that's how we've benefited from changes since post-COVID, and that's a conversation that keeps coming up. Post-COVID this, post-COVID that, everything's changed.
Yeah, and I think for us, Graham, as a manufacturer, it's great to get involved with Backcare and Flokk on this, because there are, like we've said numerous times, the people in the sector know a lot of the stuff, but it's the people not in the sector who need to know it, who don't know that, you don't have the information. So without going too product specific, what I've brought along today is a lot what I would call a lot of sort of old favourites, high running products that sell well because they do a great job, and it's just a case of letting more people know about that and what's out there. A lot of it is that people you don't know what you don't know. So again, working with Oliver and Andrew today is to try and get more people to understand these products and go, we've got this situation, this person's having that problem, and they go, well, did you know this product exists? And a lot of the time it's no, they don't. So it's just trying to educate as many people. And it's that ripple effect. If we can send those people back to their organizations with more knowledge, they can impart the knowledge, and it just spreads.
Yeah, it just goes viral, doesn't it?
But we'd also still like to get more young CEOs to come and find out about this stuff and take that back into their businesses and spread the knowledge in terms of well-being as well. I mean, let's face it, I've seen posts on social media, etc., from some very well-known wellness brands where it's all good. They're all at the, you see them all at the gym, and they're all eating, disgusting stuff, which is really good for you, and avoiding the pork pies and the pints and whatever, and telling you that you need to sleep 20 hours a day and all of this sort of thing, which is great. They say they do all of that, whatever. And then you see them at work in their offices, and they're all sat there on their laptops, all slumped over, etc. And you think, well, you're missing a vital piece of the well-being equation here. But somehow that hasn't filtered through to you. And actually, if we could get those people to do it, because they're so high profile as well, it would be great, because it would really give a sort of quantum leap to where the whole sector is trying to go, which is that actually we don't just make this stuff, the stuff of people that, have got inside knowledge, but we actually make it quite sexy for everybody. Do you think?
Oh, yeah, I like that word. Sexy ergo. Yeah. Like a bit of that.
Yeah. How dare we do that at this time on a Friday morning? Talk about that.
Absolutely. But it is right though.
I don't think I can.
No. You have just got to keep it. And as you say, we've touched on that in the past, is those sort of young CEOs. You have got to get it becoming top down, rather than bottom up. And at the minute, it's still too reactive. The field, the implementing of ergonomic products and the rollout is still a little bit too reactive. We need it to become proactive, and we're getting there. And these assessments are great. The companies are proactively doing assessments, but we need it to become standard, that when people join organizations or people kit the organizations out, it's issued as standard, not because someone's needed an assessment. There'll always be the need for assessments, and it's a huge area. But what we want is more people seeing it as, this is how our business needs to set up, and this is how we need to look after our people. So we do this from day one, and this is how we start.
We'll take it right back to where you and I first met, Stephen, which was at the wonderful Gloucester services.
Yeah.
I mean, what you need is for, when people arrive at service stations and whatever, for when they get their laptop out and whatever, in the same way that they go, and look, I've got the latest, that people are going, and look what I'm doing. See, I'm Ergo. And as soon as we can get people to that, so that other people look and go, oh God, fear of missing out. I'm jealous. What am I missing out on here? Then we've actually got, then we're starting to really get it right. But until then, what we're doing is people go, I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. I've got a bad back. I've got a bad back. Now I need it. Now I need it. Oh, now I've got to go through this process. I wish I'd known about this. You did know about it, but you just didn't do anything about it. So we got to turn that right the way round and start making people feel really positive about using Ergo kit. Is my belief. But who am I to say? Folks, there we are. What a fantastic episode. Thank you very much to Oliver for joining us all the way from Flokk in Manchester. It's been a great conversation. What time are you finishing then today?
5-ish. But then we've offered to stay around as long as people want to talk to us. So I think the official cutoff is 5, but it could be a lot later.
Yeah.
You're such good chaps. Such value all the way to the bank.
Well, I think they lock the doors at 5. So,
well, as long as there's a plentiful supply of things to eat and drink inside, then it's fine, isn't it?
Absolutely.
No one minds a lock-in. Right. Until next time, thanks for watching. We'll be back